The view from where we sit is gorgeous, even if we don't fit inside your little portrait. The big picture is enormous, so we don't even have to fit. We after it, true purpose, yeah, we have to get. We mastered it, reporting it live from Black Pew, discussing politics, the culture, and laughing at you. Cause you don't understand the viewpoint, don't mean you up by a few points. You just ain't hip to these new joints we on. The world says to follow they pitch, we set the tone, then we knock it over the fence. Oh yes, it's gone. Them haters screaming loud from the bench. They get the bat and try to copy technique, but they miss the point that I mentioned earlier. I see that you observing the way I strangle this beat. Oh yeah, I'm a murderer. Enough of me, let's get back to this gorgeous view. I hope that you enjoyed the show. Welcome to the Black Pew.
To help, or is it just to improve, which obviously
are you really trying to use this for your surgery? So that's the thing. So
if they're offering it, why wouldn't you do that? If that's what they want.
Say pre-op recovery is a year, right? Mm-hmm. So you're telling me that we have to pay for your surgery, you take a year off of service, and we're supposed to be cool with that? Like, no.
I don't think the recovery is not that long.
I'm just saying. I was just saying for instance,
yeah. Right. Like, all I'm saying is without those logistics, just if they're offering, they offer out of just caring for their employees. But if they're not, then obviously with all these stipulations, that just shows really what their
I'll tell you like this.
intentions are.
Like my job, right? For almost 2 years, we've been getting paid to do not a damn thing.
Put the mic closer to you. You gotta get a little closer.
Are you recording?
Yeah.
Oh, snaps.
No, go ahead.
So for the past year and a half, we ain't been doing a damn thing. And the other day, so I noticed the schedule changed. And I was like, and it used to be so there's certain people that they would call back to come and work because of COVID, you could, little bit by little bit, you increase your workload. So I was one of the people who were fortunate enough to be back on a work schedule. So last week, they sent out a schedule and it had everybody and they mama on the schedule. So for me, I'm one of those people. I don't see stuff and just be like, oh, that's what it is. Yeah. I go ask questions. So I seen it. I walk right up in the management. I'm like, hey, so what's going on next week? Because I got everybody and your mama on the list. And they're like, it's that point to where we getting ready to come back into work. So it's like the shake the tree moment to where we about to see who really going to come back, who got other jobs, who's no longer committed, yada, yada, yada.
That was a safe move, though. I think that was a good idea.
It was a great idea.
Put them all on the schedule, see if they come.
It's a great idea, but at the same time, it's creating that stipulation to where, hey, for this period of time, we've been paying you. Now we expect you to come back at our command, and guess what? If you don't, you cut off now.
Yeah.
And to some people, they're like, hey, cool. To me, I don't never want to get cut off for that reason from a company like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You don't want to be able to say, oh, these people just didn't want to work, so we had to let them go. You don't want that, because what people don't understand is one thing that is tied to your Social Security number is your work history.
True.
Yeah. Right.
And so all they have to do is input why, and that's why they can do references and stuff, and that's why they're not allowed to slander you in references, because the reasons for terminations or you leaving are all part of your work history.
But they're also confidential too, so it depends on to a certain extent. But in something like that, I don't think it'd be confidential.
If you're terminated,
they
know.
And there's a situation behind it.
Yeah,
that's all confidential, right? That's all confidential.
So that's why when they do references, they can only ask a question on if they would rehire you.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that's what lets them know.
Where they go.
That's what lets them know on the stipulations of why you were let go.
Yeah.
On if you walked away on your own or if it was a certain level of termination. Now you could have termination and it been like there's one guy that works at my job. And I won't even say his name. I won't do it. But there's one guy that works at my job. He was let go. And the reason he was let go was because we have certain access to the campus, and he abused a little bit of that access.
Okay.
But he was a very good worker. So they actually eventually end up rehiring him. But there was a cycle process that they had to go through before they could rehire him, you know? And so that's one of those situations to where if he actually was able to get another job but until in between time, because when they asked if he would be rehired, they say, yeah, we will rehire him. He's a great worker.
Right.
He just made a mistake because the rules are very strict.
And that's good. Usually companies don't want to rehire even for something like that.
Well, our rules are very strict.
There's some things that are trainable and some things are not.
But there's some places though, they will make you they'll do some shady stuff and make you non-rehirable for some mess that you just like that ain't right. Like it should be like, I forget, I'm trying to remember. Somebody was saying if you didn't, their stipulation was they had to do this and this, or they will let you go and you're not rehirable. And it was like the things were like, it was just like, what? Like
they weren't explainable.
They weren't. They weren't tangible. They're stuff that you just.
Well, and where did that happen at here?
It was somewhere. It was somewhere in here. I'm forgetting where it was though.
But see, that's the thing. Like Washington State has an at-will termination, so they don't have to tell you why they're terminated.
True.
That's right.
The biggest mistake that they can make is telling you why they're terminating you.
Because that can be used against them.
They can be used against them.
Yep.
You know, and so that's the biggest mistake that they can make, is giving you a reason for termination. If you can prove otherwise, then you have a whole. And I've been in that situation and have done it, and it's very rewarding. Like when, because I keep receipts, you know, like especially with companies, emails, all that type of stuff, internet interactions. I keep that, you know, and so when I was put in that situation, I had all that to boom, 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 boom. Y'all ain't finna do me like that, and you know, I did my what would you call it, the arraignment period, and they didn't even take
the arraignment period. That's court. That's
I forgot what it was called.
You're going through the process of hiring,
no,
or you mean like as far as
arbitration?
Leaving?
Arbitration.
Yeah.
And it was, and it didn't even take them that long to go through it because I had everything documented and you know, dates and everything from everything. Because I was told that I was getting fired for insubordination or something like that. Because I had got into it with like a superior, and he called me on my name, and we were about to fight.
Oh wow!
And so they just said, you know.
But that's actually harassment.
In a sense, but then they called it insubordination because I called them. But they had actually put it in writing that they were never going to give me an infraction for it, but they just didn't want it to happen again, and they put that in writing. Yeah. So when they terminated me, they said that they terminated me for that incident.
Right. But the only thing that
I had the writing.
The only thing that helps employees from leaving other companies on their own or not is companies can't they can in Washington just fire you. But if they don't want to be sued or anything like that, they have the employee handbooks should all have, depending on the company. Some of them just don't apply it, which it's actually better if they do. The 1, 2, 3 rule. You get a verbal, you get a written, and then it's final termination.
But that's the thing about Washington State, because they can fire you because they feel like you don't even fit the culture.
Right. Yeah. They can. Yep. The culture, the look, everything. They sure will.
So, and it's crazy that we're talking about. So, the company that I was talking about, when they had terminated me, before they had terminated me, they had restructured the way that their company had looked. So they started providing 401ks. It was a moving company. They were providing stipends for movers that had been there for a certain amount of time. But like if you had so we all showed up at a certain time in the morning and say they had everybody's trucks was full and you didn't, you didn't go on the truck, they would give you a stipend for the day. Right. And so they were starting this new, because, they were losing people based off the consistency of work, because, you don't always fill all the trucks. You'll have moves every day, but you're not going to run out every truck every day. And so they had sent this out and said, we're restructuring the company, the image of the company, and they kept using the word image very, very heavy in the newsletter that they had sent out to all the employees. Okay. So for us, I had been working there for a minute, so for me, I'm thinking, you know, I actually work pretty good, so I'm thinking, oh, this is dope. Like, we're finna get stipends, all that.
Right.
Like, that's pretty dope. And I actually had spoke about it one day, and they were just kind of like, yeah, that's, you know, it's going to be a nice thing. And then next thing you know, they started letting certain people go.
So they didn't have to reward us.
Well, it wasn't even about the reward. It was because the re-imaging. And so I heard through the grapevine that the re-imaging was that they wanted a more white boy, clean cut look.
Oh.
Okay.
And I was, you know, rough around the edge, black dreadhead, you know, and it just didn't. So what's funny is, and this is so funny, we would go into these jobs, and sometimes you go into these jobs and you would get a theft report after the job. And they would always assume that it was somebody who looked like me.
Right.
Yeah.
But more times than not, the people who was getting caught was the clean-cut white boys.
Yeah.
You know, because the things that they were stealing were things that they recognized that we didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Like, one dude had stole, like, a Benihana's gift card. I didn't even know nothing about Benihana at the time. Like, it was just like, it was stuff like that to a level of, you know, rings and, you know, jewelry and all that type of stuff. To us, we just, moving jobs pay decent, so it was cool to have a job that actually paid decent. You know, I wasn't about to give my job away for stealing, but other people seeing, you know, opportunity. You know, and so.
Well, and that's the thing. Companies who actually have diversity are the ones that thrive the most.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not for everybody that looks the same or thinks the same. Like, why would you want that?
And the thing about it is, like, in that situation, like, nobody looks at the movers and says, I'm not going to use that company again. They're not they don't look the same, or they don't look like how I want them. Like, as long as you can move, like, as long as you can do the job and you do it well. See, and this thing, like, there's a lot of jobs. Like, I worked for Pepsi, and one of the things was like the manager I was under, he didn't understand, or like that they called urban areas.
Can you say that?
Urban?
No.
Oh, Pepsi? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's past.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was making sure.
No. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it here. I don't care about this.
You know how they did Britney Spears and all that. They come at you.
But
she's gangster.
Well, it was one of the bottlers. Yeah. So they're like independent from the actual company.
Okay.
Yeah, and so the manager I was under, he didn't understand. Like, he was one of those culture guys. And he wanted people to just follow him, like what he said, like he was charging up the hill and we were supposed to be right behind him. And there was some stuff, and I was just like, this is stupid. Like this is dumb. And they wanted this culture of people who follow without, like, who run the play. Yeah, run the play. That's what it was. Run the play, and you would be fine. And I was like, holding up my hand like, hey, this play don't work for me. Like, this play doesn't make me money. I said, where my stores are, it doesn't make me money. And then I got switched. There was 2 stores that were in, like, decent neighborhoods, and I got switched to 2 stores that were in bad neighborhoods. And they were like, oh, you'll probably get along better with the managers.
Wow.
And me, I was like, I didn't want to be the dude who was like, hey. Like, I didn't want to like play the race card. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to trip.
And that's exactly what happens, though. For people don't actually want to speak up because they don't want to be that guy or that woman.
But knowing what I know now, I should have said something.
I'm going to tell you right now, that's one thing my company realizes, that I am that guy.
Yeah.
Like, I will, and I'm not even going, you know, knock it, you know, and some of them, they listen, you know, they listen. And they know how I get down, and like, you know, we have Zoom meetings and stuff, and they talk about race equality and all that type of stuff, and I let them know, like, hey, y'all talk about this, you feel me? But
you
I feel very misrepresented. You know,
exactly.
There is nobody who looked like me in where. So the way it looks right now is there's a glass ceiling on the people who look like me.
Yeah.
Right.
And that I'm not cool with that.
Right.
You know, I want to know that I have just much of the opportunity as everybody else. And so because I am that guy, like, they talk to me about that. Like, I ain't even gonna lie, they've actually started to create a pathway for me to be that, because they know I'm not accepting. And they know, because I talk to them. I say, you know, I realize that what you guys see is the complacency of people. Because some people are cool with just coming to work and getting a check,
right.
but you can't realize that that's everybody,
right.
and you can't. And I was just thinking because I was listening to something, I can't even remember what I was listening to. They're talking about the stereotype of black people, and how there was a stereotype to shift to that we were created to be lazy, in mindset, but in reality, everything in this country was built off the backbone of black people.
Yeah.
Which means that we have maybe the biggest work ethic that goes unrecognized.
Mm-hmm.
You look at the work of a single mother.
Yeah.
The fortitude to be able to do that, like
right.
a black woman to be able to do that, the fortitude to be able to do that, that takes drive. A lot of people could just give up.
But there were a lot of things that, just like that, how we were looked at as lazy. That, like, you ever heard the statement of the welfare queen?
Yeah.
That was shown. That was an image that was told as to say why welfare should be lessened, or that people shouldn't be on welfare, and it was attributed to black people, not because of proof, not because, like, the work ethic was not attributed to black people because of proof. It was attributed to black people because they wanted that image to be like the main one, like, oh, black people are lazy, black people are this and that. It's like, wait, hold on, how you gonna
welfare was specifically taken and provided specifically for the black community. So that's exactly what they wanted to do with it.
No, but when they used the welfare queen, it was like Reagan used welfare queen as this kind of like what's it called? As a buzzword to get people to associate negative thoughts whenever somebody, like, when you talk about welfare.
Right. Yeah.
Even now, you talk about welfare, you're like, oh, it's like some kind of person who's lazy, who doesn't want to work,
right.
who's just mooching off the government. And in actuality, it stated the welfare queen was probably white.
Well,
yeah.
And so let's take it here, because we can go even into the topic, the IKEA thing.
Yeah.
It's gotten to the point to where the education of it in that sector has become so bad that they don't know it's wrong. So, I mean, if you look at the IKEA situation, they had no idea that it was wrong, because it's like we were talking
with the
earlier.
watermelon and
we were talking earlier. See, when you don't take the consensus of the people that are like-minded around on that topic around you, you make blind decisions. We were talking about that for the church. If you don't take the consensus of your congregation, when you make decisions based on them, it's all blind. You have no idea and the fact is, you're making a decision that affects everybody.
True.
So in that IKEA situation, if you got black folks there, why not talk to them? Say, hey, we want to celebrate Juneteenth. What is they did, like? They probably would have told you strawberry soda. I mean, you don't know what they would have told you, but if you don't take their consensus, it's irresponsible to make a decision, and that's what they did. And then this is what black people do. This is what disgusts me, because when they did make the decision, it wasn't too far off of the menu that they made. So why were you in the uproar? Because guess what? They actually had a better menu than y'all created. Let's be real.
Why would you expect anything less, though?
I don't. But
this is their way of just kind of giving us black people in the community our way. Well, you really think that they wanted to make it a national holiday?
Well, it's not even just that. It's not even just that. It's white privilege at its ultimate high, because you can say, oh, well, I didn't know that had this type of racist connotation to it.
Exactly.
But why
that's
not
what I'm saying.
when
why would
you guys created the racist connotation behind it? So that's the thing.
Well, they created it, and they're continuing it. That's
what I'm saying.
Again,
I don't get how they could even that could even slip through the cracks when, like, there's 50,000 ways that people will call somebody out for anti-Semitism and stuff like that, but it's like you can't see a blatant thing like trope like that, and you want to put it on the menu. Like, it would have been better for you to just hang a banner It would have mattered.
Right.
It would have mattered for you to do nothing.
Well, nobody cares until it affects their reality. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, if nobody would have said nothing, IKEA would have went forth with that menu and thought they did a good thing. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's the thing. Like, you look at. One day we talked about the power of education and how when you talk to private schools versus public schools, you know, if the people that had their children in private schools pulled them out and put them in public schools, do you think that the public schools would start to get more funding? Of course they would.
Mm-hmm. Because it would be like, why aren't our kids like? Well, our kids need to be learning this.
But see, the thing is that when you put them in private school, your money pays for certain, certain amenities like
prestige,
more and more intimate classroom sizes. Mm-hmm. So instead of being in a 35 room classroom size, you're in a 10, 15 class size. Mm-hmm. You know, the rules in that school are more structured towards the people who pay the most money.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You know, things of that nature. And so the thing is when one thing is when they see that it affects the comfortability of how they live, it doesn't make sense.
True.
And so that's what happened. So with this IKEA thing, it affected the comfortability of how, because they had people talking about calling in.
Yeah.
No,
right.
They actually had people not come in.
Yeah.
So that affects business to where you create an environment where people don't want to work. So you have to fix that.
Yep. Right.
You know, and that's where we fall. That's
right.
where we fail.
Well, I want to say we.
As Black Wolves, that's where we fail, because see, the thing is that when they say, okay, what we do, we say, okay, well we, all right, maybe you should keep the watermelon and the chicken.
That's if they're
taking, the mashed potatoes.
But that's if they're taking your opinion.
Matter of fact,
if they
your
don't.
whole menu was on point. We just mad you didn't ask us. Like, that's where we fail at. Like, no, you want me to tell you something? Let's take some time. Actually, maybe this year is not the year that we celebrated.
Yeah.
Maybe we figure out what it looks like every year. But yeah, we want to say, oh, we made them do something. Like, no, we didn't make them do nothing. They didn't even change their menu.
Yeah.
Right, but
all you had was mashed potatoes.
But who's to say they would even take your opinion to begin with? If they didn't come to the employees that they would think would have, I think they should have went to all employees, asked their opinion, and went forth with that instead of just running with whatever idea they had. That's what the backlash they're getting, and that's what it's deserved.
That's true.
I don't think they would have.
IKEA ain't gonna lose no money. And the thing is thing that whenever people lose, whenever businesses like that lose money, that's when they hear people.
That's when they want to hear people. That's when
my thing is that was the opportunity for them to actually make a splash in that company. Instead, all they did was keep the same menu. They just condensed it a little bit. That's all they did. They took a couple items off the menu. That's it. And so my thing if you actually look at the story, they show you what the original menu was. Then when the outrage came they actually went back to their employees. The employees came up with a new menu, which was not too different
than what they
originally came was. It was just a little bit shorter. So my thing is
the
that
process was already messed up to begin with. They should have went to their employees first.
They should have,
and no stipulations like, well, the reason why it is ended like that is because now these employees are afraid to actually give their real opinions and stuff because they already seen the end result of what those people in management wanted to begin with.
But see, that's where I beg to differ, is because they realized how strong their voice was. As soon as that first menu came out, they decided that they were not coming to work.
Right.
Now, more times than not, you're getting terminated. But in this
if you don't want to be a part of a company like that, then don't.
But in this situation, IKEA said, you know what? This is a problem. So how do we fix it? And instead of figuring out,
but that's the thing. It's IKEA's problem.
No. I get it. But they're saying, but see, the thing is with a company, in order to make money, more companies the companies that make the most money focus on the environment of their employees.
First, they didn't do that.
And so what I'm saying is, even when they realized that it was a mistake, they did go back and say, how can we make this right to their employees?
Right, I get that.
And their employees did nothing to change the attempt. So what I'm saying is,
because now at that point they already seen the end result of what they wanted.
They probably were. I don't think it was. I think it was more.
There's no reason for the outcry.
There was no more. Well, you shouldn't have outcried if you were just gonna change them. I mean, you should have said no. The company should not participate if we don't have nothing positive to give to the community because of Juneteenth, not because you guys do a couple things for our menu. Mm-hmm. Like they should have said, hey, let's just the company should back off, and like you guys can do hey, the company should just do a remembrance post. And hey, next year we'll build the weekend or day or something like that. Versus
we could say IKEA this year acknowledges Juneteenth.
Yep.
And then next year you do a historical piece on Juneteenth or whatever. But see, what I'm saying is where we failed was when we got the opportunity to speak. Yeah. We said, you know what, take off the grape Kool-Aid, you feel me? Add mashed potatoes, and we good. Like that's what we did.
I hear you, but I'm looking at both ends of it. They should have definitely, if they were just not going to come back to work, great. If they weren't going to give something to this menu, then I would think that it would need to completely change in order, because if there's white people creating this menu for Juneteenth, and obviously everything is trash. They need to rework everything from the start.
Now, agreed.
But not all employees are going to be comfortable doing that, especially after getting the end result of what they've already wanted.
Well, agreed.
That's not a good position to be put in.
Agreed, but I also do feel like, so if you think about it, like I said, some behaviors are conditioned behaviors.
Right.
So as far as like we don't know. Okay, we can assume the board of IKEA is all Caucasian, and they came up with this without talking to anybody.
Yeah,
and from them, they probably look at their own personal experiences with black folks and say, you know, every time I go to a black cookout, they got chicken.
Yeah.
They got mac and cheese.
Yeah.
Right.
They got this. They got that.
Right.
They got watermelon. They got this.
Right.
So what if we did all this? Don't you think that and they probably thought that they were doing it with all great intentions.
Yeah. And that is where they failed.
Exactly.
Because
what I'm saying is where we fail is when they do that. It's a misstep. Mm-hmm. Instead of educating them and understanding and helping them understand, that's where you made the mistake at. We actually put a stamp of approval on it.
Right.
So we said, you know what, that was a mistake, but that was cool.
Yeah, well, it's like walking.
I feel you on
it's
that
like
one.
walking with somebody and they make one step in mud instead of when they get back on and it's a clean sidewalk. No, let's just stop. Let's clean that shoe off. And then let's keep walking, because I'm not gonna be walking around.
One of the shoes,
and
the other one still have mud on it.
Get back in the don't wipe it off in the grass. Just start walking back on the concrete with that muddy shoe. Like,
right.
Yeah, exactly.
I hear you.
Yeah,
and it's definitely important to stand up, especially for your culture. In any aspect, it sucks to be able to do it in the workplace and not be heard, because they give a lot of backlash. A lot of companies aren't ready to hear exactly what needs to be done. So it will jeopardize your position.
But think about it. How long ago was affirmative action?
I don't know.
I mean, it wasn't. I mean, we've lived in that era.
Yeah.
So my thing is, what I want people to understand is that you're fighting conditionalized behavior.
Right.
Not too long ago, it was okay to not hire people because of the way that they looked.
Yep.
I mean, that's still kind of
okay,
what
but now
some employers still do.
Well, there's a rule now that you got to at least have, afford some opportunities to people who look different. So it may not.
That doesn't mean they still hire them.
It may not be the same amount of people that look like you, but there's at least one person that got You could give a job to one black person and say, guess what? I there's some diversity here. I gave it to some.
What?
And that's the thing. So what we don't realize is that we, especially as black people, we've been put in a rare position to where to fight to get to elite jobs, we have to fight amongst each other.
Right.
Yeah.
White folks don't really have to fight amongst each other like that. They're usually shoo-in for jobs, and nepotism is one of the biggest things in the white community.
Yeah.
And so, with that being said, you know, when we get in position, it's imperative for us to make waves and help people understand we mean business.
Right.
And so when we get in there and we're pushovers like that, they don't respect us.
Yeah, it should. Yeah,
Like I get respect at my job because I asked a question. I want to know.
Well,
I'm going to force you when you talk about race equity. I'm going to force you to have the conversation to me what race equity looks like with a person like me.
But let me
I'm not
say
going to
this,
just say,
though.
oh well, you know, they said, well, it's race equity. Everybody got a chance here, so I'm gonna just keep working. No, what do I got to do? Because
I agree.
I'm trying to get in.
But again, all employers don't treat the black individuals in their job that same way. A lot of them don't even want to hear it. So it will jeopardize their position. I hear you because I've been on both sides. I've been in employers where I'm the only black face there, and I'm trying to give some ideas or ask questions and stuff. They don't want to hear it. Well, Kendra, you're a little aggressive.
Yeah. Have you ever heard something like have anybody told you you're strong for a woman?
Yep, all the time.
All right, so
all the time.
So listen to that, right?
Yeah.
Think about how many people probably think, damn, you work hard for a black person.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to tell you is
Basically, that's what they're saying.
what I'm trying to tell you is regardless of the fact is they almost look at you as the anomaly.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They don't say, oh, well, Kendra black and she work hard. All black people work hard. They say, well, dang, you know, black people usually lazy, but Kendra, she work hard.
Yeah.
That's the mindset.
Right.
I always get why do you work so hard? It's like,
Right.
Like, I don't get the question because I'm always like, am I not supposed to
work hard
am
for
I
what
not
you want?
Yeah, am I not supposed to work hard? Like, and like some people,
We were slaves here. What do you mean? Why don't we work? We used to get beat for what do you mean you don't work hard?
Of this country, like
It's about to be
we are hard
111.
workers.
It's about to be 111 degrees. And we was picking cotton in that weather. What are you talking about? We don't work hard. Come on, what are you talking about?
I hear you.
Y'all wilding, and that's the thing. But see, all right. So and that all comes back to the power.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in order to have power, you have to create a narrative in it. And at one point, and let's just be real, white folks came over, they genocide to the Native Americans,
Right.
and so it really was just us and white folks. And when they realized that we had enough fortitude to kind of create our own lane here, it was like, they too much competition. We can't have that, you know? And so
Mind, body, and everything. That's where their whole thing.
Pushed a lot of.
I don't believe that anybody thought our minds are lazy. I think that's what they want us to be conditioned to think. Yeah. They know we're strong.
That was like, hey,
they don't want us to be conditioned to think that.
Yeah, they do. They want to keep oppressing us.
No, they want to convince each and every one of each other. Because
on
see,
top
the thing
of
is,
us.
the thing is, well, no, you can think you're strong and powerful and all that. They still control your destiny. So as long as they can convince each other what you are, it doesn't matter what you think you are because they control opportunity. I
get it.
Yeah. And so say I run a company, right? And I say all gay people are too soft. I run a security agency. I say all gay people are too soft. You know, right there in my mind, I've already created that narrative that I don't care if you're the biggest, buffest dude that come in my office, once I find out you're homosexual, I can judge you based on that from what I already think of you.
Right.
And so that's the thing. Once they create the narrative and say blacks is lazy, blacks are doing this, blacks are on welfare, they do all this, when people look at the majority of it, they say they don't see a lot of white folks on welfare. They don't see a lot of white folks on their welfare, but if you go to the trailer park, you will.
Right.
But if you look at the statistics, they're the majority.
It's all about where you look.
But
it's all about education and actually knowing those. Yeah.
Like, you can take it all the way back to Birth of a Nation. Birth of a Nation had white men in blackface playing black men as rapists. murderers, all that time, because they wanted to shape the mind of a nation that this is what these people are. They're not regular people. They're monsters. Think about what Trump said about Mexicans when he was talking about building the walls. They're rapists. They're drug dealers. Everybody that come across the border. Come on, man. Some of these people are running from corruption.
Some of the people were literally in the crowd when he was saying it. That's the craziest thing is that there were people in the crowd
and still voted for him,
cheering for him.
Right. Some people of Hispanic descent voted for him.
You just and it's just like
against their own
how
people.
Crazy do you have
dangerous.
to? How crazy do you have to be?
Very dangerous.
That's just nuts.
I've never understood that.
Okay, to switch topics, it's something we wanted to talk about. Was the Seattle Pride Parade and how they were charging reparations.
What is so funny?
They were charging reparations for.
Gay folks gonna hate me after I go.
They were charging reparations for white people. Was it white people who were attending the parade, or that were going to be in the parade?
Okay, white folks. I wouldn't say alphabet community. I want you guys to know that I love you guys all, and I'm not gonna give my take first. But when I do give it, please do not. I mean, if y'all want to come after me, y'all can come after me. I don't care. But I'm just gonna be real with y'all. So
I think it was just wrong. Like, I'm sorry, but this I don't get it. I don't get it as far as a move. I don't get it as far as a strategy. I don't get it as far as anything other than to look like they're doing something for somebody, like as a tokenism. Like,
that is our nation.
We don't.
There you are.
We don't. We didn't need reparations from Seattle Pride organization. We don't. From the LGBTQ or on behalf of Black LGBTQAI plus members. Yeah. Nobody was asking for it, and
this is ridiculous.
Okay. It was ridiculous, and the thing about it was that you had people who. This had to go through at least 2 or 3 or 4 meetings.
Channels in order to approve it.
Yeah, absolutely. To get approved. And okay, here's the thing also.
Listen.
Some people paid it.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now. This is high level foolery on multiple levels. I'll tell you one. Homosexuality is not race related.
Yeah.
Okay? Right. That's first. That's first off. Like, you're not born black into homosexuality, white, Asian, Indian. It's not race related. So for people to even ask for reparations from a certain race because of homosexuality is one thing, or whatever your alphabet is. That's one thing. 2, white people made the alphabet popular. So for you to have your pride parades and be walking around butt ass naked in the middle of the street saying that you gay and you proud, credit the white folks, because guess what? Until they put a stamp of approval on it, everybody was ostracized for being gay. Let's do that, And that's where I'm at with it, because I don't have problem with people celebrating. Even if the alt-rights or whatever want to have their parade, have your day. But when it comes to the point to where you start crossing the line, like now we're associating homosexuality with race?
Yeah.
Like, come on. Yeah. That's absurd.
You must not have watched the Racheal documentary.
I don't care nothing about what you talking about. The chick that was white that faked to be black.
Yes,
the chick
that they're intertwining race and gender, and it's not the same thing.
You talking about the chick that was white that faked to be black?
Yep.
Now that's what I'm saying. That's absurd.
Right.
Yeah.
She just wanted to be black.
She wanted to be. I don't think she knows. I don't think she wanted.
She wanted to be she wanted to be identified as black. She also related more to black people. Mm-hmm. She found more commonality in black people,
and she just wanted to be black.
Yeah.
You watch This Is Pop. They talk about how Backstreet Boys and all that. You know who they wanted to be?
Boys
Boys
to
to
men.
Men.
Right.
You know, everybody wanted to be boys
So
to
what I'm
men.
trying to say is,
Yeah.
what I'm
Did
trying
you
to say
try-
is,
Yeah,
what they
I
realized-
want to be boys to men.
What they
Shoot.
realized is that promoting a black group was edgy, so they found white kids that wanted to be black and they promoted them. This is what I'm saying.
Well,
what makes that right? Nothing.
It's not. It's not right. And the only reason why I mentioned that documentary is because in the documentary, Racheal had a conversation amongst college students with the host who happens to be gay. And he intertwined
He intertwined
the two, saying, well, let her be who she wants to be. I don't want people to comment and have some type of judgment towards me for who I want to be, but that's not the same thing.
Well, stop
Us black
and
people
if somebody
don't just
should-
get to take off our color.
We'll stop having the police pull us over and shooting us and all that stuff for being black. I was because I want to just be black. I just want to be
It's
black
not
and drive down the
relatable.
street. You feel me? With my legal registration and everything. You know.
Whereas far as gender
That's crazy.
is across the board in all races, not.
Yeah, I think the connection definitely between race and sexuality is not like they try to blur the lines, and I think it's a clear misstep. It's a misstep, period. But to do it for something like that, like, I'm sorry. And then where was y'all gonna send the money? Like, y'all gonna dole it out between the black
city.
people in the city?
You don't buy bigger rainbow flags? What
Like-
I mean, what are you gonna do?
They was like, what was y'all gonna do with the money?
You would. I mean, I don't think that's right or anything either. But if they're having all these meetings and conversing on decisions and whatnot, I would think that they would have already had a plan to what to do.
I don't think they had a plan with what to
I mean,
do.
then it was not well thought out at all. Like, you have to plan and prepare for things like that. You can't just put that out there and then now see what's going to happen with it.
Yeah, like were you guys planning on like saying this is not for homosexuality, but we're doing our part to make sure black people get reparations? Like, I can understand that.
I wouldn't.
But I can understand that.
I
Like,
can understand saying that.
I can understand saying, you know, we're for black people getting our reparation, and we're throwing as the LGBT community, we're backing them.
Okay,
and
that I can understand.
I can hear that.
Yeah.
But to say that white people should pay reparations to come into a gay parade is absurd, because I don't think that you would have a gay parade if it wasn't for them being open with it. Because if they close that door, everybody would still be ostracized for being gay. We wouldn't be as open with it as if it wasn't for white men. That's who made it acceptable.
But I just don't think they should be having any type of reprimandment for anyone.
Oh, definitely.
For anyone. I don't care what race.
I really do think black folks should get reparations because it was just like, I was just hearing a recent conversation.
For the Pride Parade? Is that
No,
what you're
just in general.
In general, yes.
Because when we talk
okay.
about the 1%, or we talk about, you know, some of the richest people in America, most of that money comes off of slave money.
Right,
And so slave money gave people more control over the country than others, and so they were able to maximize off of wealth. Right. And that's why the rich always stay rich and the poor always stay poor, because what people don't understand is the poor are always trying to compensate for being poor, while the rich don't have to compensate for nothing.
Yeah,
right.
they're not playing with bill money. They're playing with house. Exactly. They're playing with house money.
They're not playing on a level ground.
Yeah,
they're playing against themselves.
Yeah.
So there's that.
But yeah, Pride Parade, I'm not with that. You guys need to take that somewhere else. Do whatever. I ain't with you guys. I'm not against you guys having your own parades and enjoying who you guys are and living in your truth. That is real to you. Everybody should live in their truth, be who they want to be, and all of that. If you want to, you know, Adam and Steve and, you know, Sandra and Eve, or whatever you want to do, that's all on you. I ain't even mad at you. If you want to be, if you want to go from Steve to Sandra, that's cool. Whatever you want to do. But at the same time, when you start mixing it with race, that's a different situation.
Yeah.
And you know, I can't choose my skin. And regardless of you saying you can't choose who you want to be, you can. I don't believe in that. You can choose who you want to be. I think that because I think you can choose who you want to be. I think that you decide on which side you want to lean towards and what makes you more comfortable. But I can't choose to be black, and I can't choose whether or not I'm black or not. I come out the womb that way, and that's just a given. And so
race is not. Yeah.
I
you
was,
didn't
I,
choose.
yeah,
You didn't choose.
This wasn't
Like,
something I didn't. I'm not on the inside. I don't say like, on the outside I'm one way, but on the inside I feel like I'm black. That's what Racheal did.
That's
Yeah.
exactly
You
what
feel me?
Rachel's doing.
But
Right.
even her, she got found out like
Immediately.
she got found out. No, actually, it wasn't
it was
immediate.
quite immediate after
She
that.
did some stuff. She did some like NAACP
she
stuff
was
and
she was the
everything.
head of the NAACP chapter in
right.
Spokane.
Yeah, that's what
Right,
I'm
but
saying.
when people got word of her, it was found out quite immediately because she did some type of a background check, like, or whatever it's called. Blood test or
Yeah,
whatnot,
they
to
like
even find out
when
her.
but she had gone years with being the head of things
Right.
and being
Before
a part of things, like
being a black
Yes.
voice.
being a black voice and
Yeah.
like in the pictures.
Impacting
The thing
it.
about her also was so crazy was that when your family's like doesn't like what you're doing, but they don't really like, they're not really gonna say much.
Yeah.
They'll let you rock them to the end of the earth.
Yeah.
Like, because her family was like, hey, small little hand up, hey, like
Right.
you
Let
white.
her be who she wants to be.
But they was not trying to blow her spot up.
But now this is what I want to know: are we really mad about that? Because at this point, black people we always talking about. Well, we need allies. Like, forget
We need
having
allies, but we don't need
forget
them to
having
imitate us.
forget having allies. Sometimes we need co-conspirators. That was like her. That was like her breaking into jail. Like saying, you know what?
Oh, God.
You feel me?
I'm
Because
gonna
I'm
be
not gonna
inmate.
say it's not like she did bad work.
I'm gonna be in here with
Hold on,
you
time
now.
out. But it's not like she became black and started acting like Uncle Ruckus.
No,
I mean
for
she
me,
became black and she was actually working on black issues though.
No,
You feel
it's
me?
for
I'm
whites
not.
that want
I'm
to
just
actually
saying.
feel the oppression. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me.
I hear
Do
the
you
I
want
hear the
to
white.
feel this way?
I hear the white privilege angle. But I'm just saying.
But I don't think
But
I don't think there was a- I don't think there was a white-
I'm gonna tell you like this: if a black dude pulled off being white and rich, we would applaud him.
I don't think
I
she
don't think
played
so.
the white privilege to its full capacity because she wasn't switching when she went places. She
Whoa.
literally dipped. She literally jumped in, and because she wasn't trying to jump in the pool when it was convenient, and when it was not convenient,
Well, hold
was
on.
trying to dry off her clothes.
But isn't it? All right, so check this out though. This is why it's white privilege. Is because at any moment in time, when it becomes uncomfortable,
Right.
she can go back to whatever.
That's right.
And so the thing is that regardless on if she lived in the skin and being uncomfortable, she's more valuable as a white woman exercising that white privilege to help progress black
what
progress
I
black
don't
problems versus putting herself in black
Right.
skin and acting like she's black.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so it is a
That
form of
just-
white privilege to say, "Oh, I can be black if I want to,"
Yeah.
but
Right.
as soon as people find out, I got to be white.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
no, like
Well, then-
I'm gonna change the.
just
I'm gonna
stay
change the
white.
terminology.
Yeah, just
Right,
stay
right.
white and use those resources that you
Right.
got as a white woman to
Right.
help us progress our agenda.
Right.
Not set our agenda back now because you wanted to play black chick.
Right.
She was in the
exactly,
dash. She was in.
But that's kind of what you were saying too. Is like her baby's dad actually did throw his hand up and was like, "I'm not with this."
After a while, yeah.
Yeah.
But she had. I think she fooled him too. Cause she had the dashikis on,
Yeah, she
and
was changing
she had the
weaves,
kente cloth, and I'm
braiding her
like,
hair,
she had more
doing
stuff
all
on
of
than
it.
I've ever worn. I'm like,
She was
Right,
good.
right.
She was-
Hey, you full black.
she was black. I was like, man, I should be more black than.
Uh-huh.
I ain't even gonna lie. When I seen her black picture, I was like,
Exactly.
I was like, dang, she looked blacker than me. I ain't even
Yeah.
gonna lie. She actually pulled it off
Hey,
very
listen,
well.
when they intimidate or try to sit there and what's the word?
But that's
Imitate you.
That's another
they
level
can do,
of white privilege.
Right,
So I'm
they
gonna
can
tell you
do
like
whatever
this.
they want
We
to with
all
that.
seen white chicks. We seen Marlon and Sean trying to look like white women. That was not believable.
Right.
But we talking about a white woman was able to pull off being black for years.
Yeah.
That's another level of white
And she
Right.
was because she looked like she was looking at her like my sisters are real light skinned. Both of them are, and she was darker than them two. And so it wasn't in the
Listen,
round.
she was darker than me.
Yeah, and we all know exactly. We all know.
My skin tone.
Yeah, we all know black people who are that skin tone or lighter, and they're full black.
Definitely.
And so it wasn't a thing of like you just see her like, oh, okay, there go Racheal.
Right. They only started questioning it too when she did that DNA test and her
And when-
questioning her two white parents.
Well, and then the reporter,
If you looked at my DNA, I'll look at you. I'll show you my 23andMe, and now you'd be like, I mean, you what? You feel
Yeah,
me?
exactly.
I'm everything under the sun, and
Right.
I got about 10% European in me.
Right, but most DNAs are going to have, first of all, European or some type of British or
Yeah,
anything.
I mean, my
but
people came to the slave
she's
trade,
not
so,
going to
you know.
have no anything descendants from Kenya or Indonesia or anything like that. She's literally has
see,
no resemblance
The reason
to
why
that.
I want people to hold that thought is because after I did a 23andMe and actually looked at it, it is most likely, regardless of what, even if you're white, that you are going to have African descendants. Now, the percentage of it may be very low.
Low,
Might be
right.
a point or two.
1%.
But the fact that,
That does
when we
not
look
mean that
at
you're black.
when the fact that when we look at the way the slave trade worked, we even look at Thomas Jefferson.
Right.
But I think also if you look at how they do those 23andMe's and Ancestry, all them, they don't really, they take into account, like, they do it in like groups. So they say, hey, these people here.
Oh no, they test your DNA amongst all these people.
Yeah, and then they show and so they say, hey, this trait is associated with
Another trait.
another trait, and it could be from another region. So if they say, hey, you one of 100 of your traits is like they could say Icelandic.
Yeah.
One of 100 of your traits is Icelandic.
Well,
so that 1%
is out of 1,000.
is out of 1,000, and then at the same amount of people, like say 10,000 people out of 1,000,000 had the same trait and the same percentage.
Right.
Then they'll say, okay, the 1%, like you got a 1% Icelandic on your.
This is where I want to challenge you guys at. So we see paternity.
When
tests.
do you not challenge us, Marv?
That's my job. That's my job. So you see paternity tests, right? We all watch Papa Who, but I'm not going to say that those was real all the time. But when I say Papa Who, I mean Mari.
Yeah.
So we all watch Papa Who. You feel me? You know how
Mari, shout out
you know how DNA
to-
tests. And me myself, you know, I'm actually a professional in the DNA in the DNA
gosh.
test industry because
Let
I've
me see your
had
business cards.
I've had a couple of DNA tests. You feel me?
Hey, I don't
I've
know.
been on both sides of the DNA test.
Lord.
You feel me? I've been a not the father and the father. You feel me? You feel me? And I got a 13-year-old to prove the father side. And, you know, and somewhere out there's a 15-year-old to prove that I wasn't the father. But I'll tell you like this. So you take that. What they do in that is they take your DNA, they put it towards somebody else's, and then they take the potency of the DNA, compare it to yours, and through all these different channels, they realize where it matches up at.
Right.
All right. So we're talking about on a micro level of how they're doing it. DNA is so strong to where these are not necessarily mismatched. They are connecting you with people because they're trying to help you build a puzzle to who you actually are.
Or into where you came from.
So I know people who've had the 23andMe and have actually documented the fact that they are descendants of slave rape.
Oh wow!
Because their cousin,
Right.
their blood cousin, is a descendant, their blood cousins are descendants of plantation owners.
Right.
That eventually tied them into their grandmother, and that's where their bloodline started.
Right.
And so a lot of this is built into that. Where we forget is that most nationalities have been a part of the slave trade.
True.
And when that becomes the biggest part of slave trade, we don't take into account is rape.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of by this time in our lives, most people are multiracial or multiracial.
Right.
The closest you'll get is Asiatic people. Is the Japanese. They try to be as pure blood as possible. That's why you see Japanese people marry Japanese people. They try to keep that a tradition for since the beginning of time because they want to keep the purity of their bloodline. That's what Hitler's whole thing was to create a super race with a purity of a bloodline. And even if we talk back to the beginning of America, that's what white America wanted, and that's why they didn't like interracial dating, because it cut the purity of their bloodline. And black bloodline was stronger than theirs. So if we continue to cut the purity of their bloodline, they would eventually become existent.
Right.
Yeah.
All righty there.
Yeah.
That was a little education
right?
For y'all.
Well, we about to get out of here. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Black Pew Podcast.
It's hot in the mud.
It is hot. That's why you hear the fans on.
Stay hydrated.
We are not going to apologize.
Make sure you-
I know, right?
Like an hour and a half or something like that. But
It's hot.
Me?
It is super hot.
And we're
bro.
supposed
out.
to be descendants from Africa.
I know.
We talking about it's too hot. We talking about it's too hot. You feel me? Well, I don't know. That's crazy.
We live in Washington.
Yeah, I know,
We're
right?
forgiven for that.
All right, y'all take it easy.
It's snow
Peace.
out here.
Peace.